What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of MMA Talk with me, Lorenzo.
And James.
How's it going, James?
It's pretty good, pretty good.
I don't know if you heard, there were some fights this weekend.
Were there?
Yeah.
Well, hope no one got hurt.
Yeah, I just kind of glazed over him. Wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah, just the biggest fight card ever made in the history of the UFC.
Let's figure it out.
All right. So, what were your overall impressions of the fight?
Like the whole fight card?
Yeah, the whole thing. Like
best. It's the
best experience.
Best. Like, god damn, man. Like, there was no boring fights, and it was awesome all around. No complaints for me.
Yeah. There were surprisingly no stinkers, really. Like, there was no real boring fights.
Nope.
You know, like, I was entertained from the prelims on. You know, it's fucking great. Let's just get into the meat and potatoes of it.
Let's do it.
Conor and Eddie.
Conor and Eddie.
What do you think?
Oh.
What did you think?
Man.
You know, let me just start off with this, though. When he first knocked Eddie down, the first quick 2 hits he had that Eddie got to the chin and he dropped him for the first time, I stood up, started screaming, and I looked at you. Your jaw might as well have been on the floor. You were just like, what the hell?
I mean, I wasn't that worried though about Eddie. I mean, I wouldn't even say the word worried. I wasn't that surprised because Eddie does get hit a lot, and he's a grinder, you know. Like he's been dropped in so many fights, but
and I agree. Yeah, he's been in some wars, and he's definitely gotten dropped a couple of times. But I mean, overall, this was just a clinic from Conor.
I think after he got dropped the very first time, he just wasn't never. He seemed to have never been able to get back, to his original position. Like, also he talked about getting sucked into Conor's game plan.
Yeah,
which is obvious. Like, I remember watching it, being like, "What the fuck is he doing?"
And I think I kind of have a theory on that. Like the way Conor does that to a lot of people, like every time Conor gets in the ring with somebody, they don't look like themselves for the most part. You know, Aldo, and this time Eddie, and before Chad Mendez. You know, some people speculated on whether that was a cardio issue or not. But like, fact of the matter is, I think, like, get into a little bit of technique is, first of all, Conor's boxing is on a whole nother level compared to most people in the UFC and MMA in general. You know, just like from a pure boxing perspective, his hands are so fast and his technique is so clean. There's like no extra fat on his technique. You know, it's just all like bam, 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 bam. Like, and I think the reason why, like, because you look at Eddie's post-fight conference, or not conference, interview. Yeah, he didn't show up to the post-fight press conference, I don't think.
Yeah, they didn't invite a lot of people.
Oh, really? Well, like, during his backstage interview after the fight, he said that his game plan was to kick and wrestle. And you think about it, that's a pretty good game plan.
It sounds right.
Yeah. You're like, obviously. You know, because Conor does have that wider stance, not exactly karate-like, more boxing-like, and he's a southpaw. So to the orthodox fighter that Eddie is, that inside leg kick is there all day,
and he landed it immediately.
Yeah, he started off real good, and it knocked Conor down at one point. You know, it kind of made him slip.
Yeah,
and I think that when Conor gets into his range, he's so good at tricking you into thinking at what range that you're in. Like, he leans forward and he puts his fists in your face, and when his fist is in your face, you would think like, okay, I'm in boxing range. I can't kick him right now. I'll get jammed. And when you throw a punch back at him, his hips are a lot further back than his head is. So he leans back and then counters with that left. You know, and he did that. That's what he got Eddie with the first time. Like, Eddie threw a cross and he was leaning over his punch a little bit. Yeah. By a little bit. And that's the thing. He thought Conor was at a certain distance, so he punched at that distance, and Conor moved back and countered him with the overhand left over his cross, and that's what dropped him. And plus, you listen to Eddie, and they asked him, like, was it a power thing? Did he get surprised by his power? And he's like, no, it was mostly a speed thing. Like he said when he got dropped the first time, he got sat on his ass. He was like, "Wow, that was really fast. Like I don't know what the hell he hit me with, but that was fast." And I just think that's what separates Conor from so many other people. Like his manipulation and of the range and his timing is just it's impeccable.
Yeah, I was very, very surprised to see how emotional Eddie got in there because you had seen him with Pettis and who else did we see him do that with? He's had that game plan before, at least one other time at least.
Mm-hmm.
So I really thought he was gonna try to do that, but man, Connor's just like he gets people they suck him into his game,
Mm-hmm.
And Eddie, and then after he got dropped that first time, the worse Eddie looked. He like over like when he started throwing those fucking like crazy he started throwing the crazy hooks, and I forgot what they're actually called.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like leaning in instead of getting there with
footwork.
proper footwork. Yeah. So he was leaning like way over, like where he was obviously going to throw himself off balance. Like, and I don't know, like I don't feel comfortable in critiquing a professional fighter's anything at all. But from someone who's like just from a fan alone, you can see something like that. Like that's something that that's like the first thing they teach you in class.
Yeah,
is like footwork and balance and shit.
Yeah,
and you just see him like lean way over.
Yeah,
like,
and that was especially surprising to me, especially when you consider who his coach is, Mark Henry, who's like a striking guru in the MMA world. He's worked with Frankie Edgar and Chris Weidman and a lot of those East Coast guys, but he's gotten a lot of credentials to his body of work. He's improved a lot of people's stand-up game. But like I feel like when you go up against Conor, first of all, the shit talking is a whole another thing. He shit talks you all the way up until you're actually in there with him. So I feel like when you get in there with him, you're just so focused on hurting him and him not hurting you. And I feel like not Conor, Eddie got trapped in that just like everyone else. Like with the fight with Aldo, before Aldo threw anything, Conor hit him like 3 times. They weren't hard shots, didn't hardly do any damage, but he punched him to the body and then he kicked him in the leg. And I feel like Aldo was like, well, he's already hit me. I got to hit him with something now. Mm-hmm. And that's why he dove in like he did, and Conor just countered him. And I think Eddie fell for the same thing. Like Conor dropped him one time, and then he was like, fuck, I can't let him get away with that. And then you start overcommitting, like you said, really reaching for that and trying to get that knockout. You're trying to hurt him, but he's just calm. You saw his face, just stone cold. Just like, and then his pinpoint accuracy, like everything he does is hurting you, and you're throwing everything you can at him, and he's just moving out of the way and countering you. Because I feel like at his roots, that's what Conor is. He's an aggressive counterpuncher, but he baits you. He doesn't just sit there and wait for you to throw something. He throws something at you first and baits you into coming at him, and that's exactly what he wants.
Yeah. On top of that, man, his like pinpoint accuracy, it seems to be unmatched by no one. I mean, he just knows exactly where everything is.
Yeah.
I can't speak enough about that. Like Chad Mendes said that a couple days ago. I think he said it wasn't Conor's power that threw him off. It was his amazing accuracy with his punches. He knew exactly where he was throwing them, and they landed where they needed to go. And like Conor has crazy power, but I mean, match that with that accuracy, like, dude, standing in boxing range is the absolute worst fucking thing you could do with a guy like Conor.
Yeah,
like that, no one's gonna stand a chance in his range like that.
Yeah, and it was just crazy, and then his self-belief is something in itself, and the big question is, what's next? Well, I mean, what do you think he should go from here?
I don't know. There's a million different directions. He could go try to fight Woodley. I mean, he could, I don't see why not. But the thing is, like, I'm bummed out that, those titles aren't going to be defended for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, and there's so many guys at 155, that division's so stacked. Those guys are going to be waiting like at least close to a year for anyone to even get a crack at that. I mean, Max Holloway, that guy's got like a 9-fight win streak. Not to mention Jose Aldo at 145 and whoever else is down there. It sucks because I know those things are going to be like in limbo.
Yeah,
because I know he's not going to defend it anytime soon.
Do you think he'll defend the lightweight before he defends the featherweight?
I don't know if he'll ever go back to featherweight.
No.
I just doesn't especially after he fought at 155. So I don't know. I think he'll probably drop 145. I don't think he's gonna want to keep that. He's killing himself.
Yeah, to get to 145, he definitely is. But like, the only fight I'm really interested in seeing if he ever does decide to go down to featherweight is to defend his belt. You know, Aldo, he's in limbo right now. I don't know what he's doing. He's talking about he's retired. He's cut ties with the UFC. He wants to go play soccer. I don't know. Frankie Edgar, I mean, after seeing what Aldo did to him on the feet, I can't really imagine a world where he's going to do any better against Conor. Conor has more reach. Conor is better, is in my opinion a better striker than Jose. So yeah, I don't see that having much of a draw. And I think if you're going to go down to featherweight, go fight the winner of Anthony Pettis versus Max Holloway, which should be happening in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I would love to. I would personally be interested in seeing, because I don't know if you saw Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis said he wants both of those belts from Conor.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so I would be interested in seeing Pettis versus McGregor. That'd be interesting to me.
It'd be interesting because he does have that. He has that Taekwondo background, so he's got some crazy kicks too.
Mm-hmm.
His kicks have actually been like really impressive. Like, yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, there's a lot of fights that are just interesting, but like would die for. I don't know if there's only anyone at 45 that I would just be like chomping at the bit to see. But at 55, there's Khabib waiting in the wings. Mm-hmm. I hope he stays at 155. I want to see him at 155.
And then, like you said, Woodley. I don't think that they'll give him Woodley because, first of all, I think that you need to rematch him with Wonderboy. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah.
His fight with Wonderboy Thompson.
Yeah.
I think fight of the year.
Fight of the year?
Yeah. For 2016? What other fight do you think?
I mean, I can't think of anything right off the bat. I mean, the survival of Stevens. I mean, not Stevens. Wonderboy wasn't insane. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it was a tie. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It was a good fight. I mean, shit.
Yeah, because I actually didn't have any issue with it being a tie.
No, I mean neither. Absolutely. We were saying as soon as it over, like that's a tie.
Yeah.
Like this is
like there was no one person was in more trouble than the other person. Yeah. You know, because like, yeah, I mean, Wonderboy got dropped, but like the way he was able to get out of that guillotine, I thought it was done.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah. Like I've been in plenty of guillotines, and when you're against somebody who's that strong, who looks as strong as Woodley, mm-hmm. And you can put your hips up in the air as high as you want, but like what amazed me is that like you can decide not to tap, but what surprised me is like you don't. I think Dana White said you don't decide when you just go out. Yeah. And I was very surprised that he didn't go out. It was like watching a fight on a movie or something like that. Like to Woodley, so you could see like the grimace on his face. He's just squeezing the life out of him, and Thompson's just like he just survived. And then Thompson had some of the bright points in the fight too. Yeah,
I mean, Woodley apparently keeps his back to the cage, and that's just something he does often. And apparently, who was on? Someone was on MMA Hour today, and they said that what they think. Oh yeah, I think it was Damian Maya. He said that what he thought Woodley was doing was he was trying to get Thompson to come in so he could counter with a takedown with his own back against the cage. So I guess like a double leg or something. But but that was losing him the fight, just being up against the cage and just kind of getting teed off a little bit. He was he was just waiting for the perfect shot, and the perfect shot it came in the first round, but after that never again.
Yeah, and you saw Wonderboy be very cautious about his kicking.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
Yeah,
I was surprised about that.
Yeah, he threw a lot of stabbing front kicks and side kicks and stuff like that. But like as for the leg kicks, he like after Woodley took him down in the first round, he was like pretty much done with that.
Yeah, he was using his hands way more than I would have expected.
Yeah, but he like I said going into it, I think we both predicted Wonder Boy to win, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I figured that he would do exactly what he did, be very elusive, hit him and get out of the way. That's what he's very good at doing, coming in, hitting you, and then get the fuck out of dodge. But Woodley landed a couple of bombs on him, and damn near put him out. But Thompson's got some fight in him. He comes off as this real cheery, boy who's very like kind of sheltered kind of guy. You see that after the fight, and he's just like, "Let's do it again, guys! Yeah. I can't wait."
Well, yeah, I mean the whole thing is like he's a Christian that comes from money, who's he seems to have had a pretty good life. A lot of these guys come from the streets and shit. That's just not
the polar opposite of Woodley.
So you have to kind of think like maybe like is there some type of will? Is there any give in his heart? Because he's never like it's different. He's got a different background. But seeing this fight, nobody can fucking question.
Yeah, exactly. That like anybody in his situation could easily just be like, you know what? I don't really need this belt. I'm just gonna tap right here. He's squeezing the shit out of my neck. He feels like he's gonna break it. I'm just gonna go home. I'm still a good fighter in the UFC. It was a good run, but no, he definitely had some dog in him. And that's what I think we saw is just a dog fight between two elite fighters. You see Tyron Woodley, who's a freak athlete, clearly showed it, and you see Thompson, who's a very skilled striker, clearly saw that too.
Yeah.
What'd you think about Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz?
Well, it seemed like for the first 3 rounds that Joanna was just gonna she gave her a free class for 3 fucking rounds. But then that 4th round, Joanna I think was coming in, and what's her face threw a hook. Carolina, I think she threw a hook. Was it a hook that caught her? It was right to the nose.
It was kind of a hook, and she caught her square on the jaw. But the thing was, if you watch it in slow motion, as she was following through, she hits her with the hook in the jaw, and then as she follows through, her elbow hits her
Slides
too.
There,
so it's just pop, and that was the most we've ever seen Joanna actually rocked. Like we saw her dropped against Gadelia, her last title fight, but she wasn't actually like hurt. Yeah. She got right up right away. I think that just caught her by surprise, But like this one, she was wobbled. Yeah. And she backed all the way up against the cage, and Carolina started teeing off on her. Yeah. And I was like, oh no, and that just shows you what a crazy sport MMA is. I could have just turned the whole tables right there.
Yeah. It's funny because when you watch a fight like that and it looks like it's so obviously going one way, like one hit, man, that could change the whole thing, which it almost did. We almost had a new champion. Mm-hmm. But did you think she was going after? Like, do you think she was going after she rocked her and she noticed she was rocked? Do you think that she went after her accordingly, or do you think she could have given it a little more to finish her?
Well, let's keep in mind that she took a lot of damage during. So I wouldn't really accuse her of not giving it all she got. I just think like after getting tuned up for 3 rounds, you only have so much you can give. Yeah. And that's another thing I want to say about Carolina is she can take some damage. Oh, yeah. She's tough as they come. She was taking shots all over, to the body, to the head, to the leg. She was just eating those leg kicks from Joanna, which are brutal. And she just kept marching forward.
Was she ever rocked in that fight? Did she
Carolina,
no.
No, she was never really. She was getting tagged up, but like she never really got truly hurt, like rocked or wobbled or anything like that.
And even though this is one of those few times where someone loses, but their stock still goes up.
Yeah,
one of those few times.
It was a good loss for Carolina. She says she wants the rematch right away in Poland. I don't think that's the best thing for her to do. I think that you have an idea of where you are in comparison to her, and you know what you need to work on. Because basically, it was a Muay Thai fight in MMA gloves and inside of a cage. That's basically what it turned into. Nobody really went for a takedown. Yeah. So, I don't really think you're gonna have to worry about that when you're fighting against Joanna. I don't really think you're gonna have to worry about her getting taken out. Well, she's with Mike Brown at American Top Team now, so I don't know. That might change, but I think Carolina should go back and basically, just get better all around. She but it's not like she left with, nothing to grow off I think she learned a lot. She can grow off a lot of things she got out of this fight.
Yeah, I mean, she shows that she has that championship heart.
Mm-hmm.
She just couldn't get it done, but and that heart is not something you can teach.
Yeah.
So she has that at the very least, we know. So I don't know. I definitely don't want to see her rematch. Not this fast. Maybe get a win or two under your belt. But the problem is in that division is the girls who are interesting styles for her are both kind of coming off losses. So it's like I don't know. I don't think there's anyone. There's not a clear contender in that division. There's a couple girls who need a couple more wins. So I don't know what goes on next.
And another thing that you can say about Carolina is that like Joanna coming out of this fight, that's the worst we've ever seen her.
Oh, dude, her face is fucked.
Yeah, she had a broken nose and 2 giant whelps on both sides of her head.
Yeah, they were scary.
You know, like that was the worst we've ever seen Joanna coming out of a fight. So I think that's just another thing that you can, tell Carolina, like, look, you obviously have the power to give her damage.
Yeah, but she's the champion for a reason. She can take an ass whooping and give it out. So good fight, man. Definitely woke everyone up. Like if anyone was like getting bored of that fight, everybody got the fuck up and started paying more attention.
Yeah,
that could have been different.
Yeah. Weidman versus Romero. The one New York guy on this card.
The one that got away.
He gets his head split open.
Yeah, that was the third round, right? Or was that the second? It was the third round, right?
Yeah, third round, yeah.
So, I personally think he was winning those first 2 rounds. What about you?
Yeah, I thought so too. He was definitely scoring more takedowns. He was definitely throwing more volume.
Way more active.
Way more active, yes. And I think that's not so much due to Romero's inability to throw volume too. It's just that he's damn near 40 years old.
Yeah.
And he's a pretty big guy, so he does. I'm pretty sure he's self-aware of what he is. He's very, very well known for gassing out. So he was picking his shots really, really, closely. He was paying attention to what he wanted to spend his energy on.
And it worked out well for him.
Yeah, and I feel like Weidman's loss was kind of self-inflicted because he was going for those single legs over and over again, and also because that was one of the few things he was able to get. But like that one attempt that he eventually paid for, it was very sloppy. He didn't set it up at all, and Romero, although I don't think you can really say that he's the smartest fighter, he's definitely one of the more explosive ones, and he saw exactly what was coming and then just threw that knee right through his face and into the stands, and then he flipped. It looked like a car crash.
Yeah.
Like he threw his knee up, hit him in the face, and then he flipped over him.
Yeah, it was mangly. It almost looked like at one point, after he landed that knee, when Chris was collapsing back down, it looked like Chris might have fucking kneed himself in the face a little bit. Like, god damn, man. But you know what? That was one of those few times where I saw that and I was like, holy fuck, is he okay?
Yeah.
Because it was so concerned. Bad. It was so violent.
It was spewing. His blood was spewing out of his head.
It looked like he got fucking shot.
Yeah.
He was just, it was profusely bleeding. Like, we don't see that. We don't see that in UFC. Like, dudes bleed from their mouth, like from their nose and stuff, and they get cuts. But to just be bleeding that much, it looked like a fucking fountain.
Yeah.
And it was so violent to just watch. Oh, goddamn. Poor Chris.
And that was just one instance to show Romero's power. I mean, you see the way he tripped Weidman?
Oh, goddamn.
Yeah, that was just a world-class technique and power. Like, because Weidman is a very good wrestler in himself. We discussed this in our preview of it. Yeah. Very good wrestler, All-American. But that just shows, like, Romero is just way more experienced. He medaled in every single world championship he's ever wrestled in, Olympics and everything, and he's just a genetic freak. You look at this guy, he looks like a ninja turtle. He looks like he's got a shell on his back and he's huge. And then you see him do those backflips as he entered the cage. Yeah. And he's just super explosive too.
Yeah, dude's like 200 pounds.
Yeah, And you gotta love his personality too. After the win, goes marching around, and then he sees Bisping up in the stands. Yeah. Bisping's giving him the double fingers.
He's kisses.
Yeah, I love you. I love you, Michael. You give me the bird, I fucking love you.
Yeah, he's another guy I really, really want to like, man. But once again, dude, fucking. He poured water all over himself.
Yeah, again, trying to bend the rules.
It's like, dude, like, at this point, we all know. Like, maybe the first time you could argue, like, maybe the language barrier, maybe he didn't understand the rules. Like, this time, it's like, come on, man. Like, quit doing, like, I don't know if it's corner or if it's him, but cut this shit off so I can like you.
Yeah.
You're, like, making enemy. Like, people aren't going to want to see you fight unless it's to see you get fucked up.
Yeah. And going into a fight against Michael Bisping, if he gets the title shot, Bisping's going to be calling out every single thing you're doing.
Oh, he did get the title shot.
Oh, he did? It's confirmed?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. How do you feel about Michael Bisping facing him?
He's going to have his hands full. I see Chris. I see Yoel getting him. I mean, his wrestling.
Alone. Yeah.
That's always, Chael Sonnen got Bisping with his wrestling. That's how Bisping has lost a couple times.
I do think that Bisping has an interesting style matchup against Romero. He throws a lot of volume. The way he fought Henderson, another powerhouse, nothing compared to Yoel.
Yeah.
But he avoided the power. The best he could. He got lit up twice, but he throws a lot of volume. So even if you do light him up, you better finish him because he's gonna try to outpoint you the whole time.
Yeah.
And seeing how active Weidman was against Romero, Bisping's way more active. He throws a lot more stuff. So, I could see Bisping surviving, but if not, then Romero's just gonna grab him and ragdoll him. I mean, if he's throwing Chris Weidman onto his back that fast, because he tripped him and then he took his back like a ghost. Yeah,
quick.
Yeah. So, yeah, he pick and chooses his opportunities, and then he capitalizes on them, very quickly. Yeah. And if Bisping gets tripped like that, and he gets his back taken against Romero, there's no getting up.
Yeah. He trains out of the UK, right?
No, he trains out of California with that. God, what's his name?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
The guy who trains Cyborg too. Cyborg.
Yeah. Well, I guess never mind then.
Yeah.
But the fact still remains, man. Growing up in UK, you're just not gonna have a whole lot of wrestling, or at least good wrestling.
Yeah.
So the European guys always seem to have this major disadvantage when it comes to grappling. Yeah. Their striking is typically much better, and that's because of the whole kickboxing and stuff. And that's Bisping. He's got some okay takedown defense, but we've never seen it against elite. Like we've seen Dan's taken him down, but he doesn't really wrestle anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's gonna be interesting.
But I do think Bisping's probably kind of pissing himself off. Just a little bit.
Yeah. He's throwing the bird up, but if you look on down, if you pan the camera down a little bit, he's pissing himself.
He's gotta be, man. He's gotta
be. Moving on, Misha loses against Raquel Pennington pretty soundly. Surprisingly, he thought that was going to be the lopsided fight of the night.
It was. Yeah. Just not for who
I
thought it was.
Yeah, Misha announced her retirement afterwards, and like you said, it sounds like a knee-jerk reaction, but I don't know if it's things going on in her personal life or something, but she just didn't seem like herself.
Definitely not. Once again, another huge surprise. I did not expect to see that Misha look like that. She looked kind of slow. She didn't look. Her stand-up just wasn't there. But that also was. Having said that, Raquel's also got good hands. She's a good striker.
Very good jab.
Yeah. Her jab was fucking crazy.
Yeah. She was tagging her up with it.
Yeah, sometimes Raquel's just never had that big fight. This is her big fight, though. Mm-hmm. This is now maybe she can get top 2, top 3 person.
Yeah, and I knew she was physically strong. I mean, she showed that when she damn near ripped Misha's head off, and and Misha had to wall walk a little bit just to survive. twice. She was picking her up and down, and and you usually and outside of Ronda Rousey, you could say Misha's the best grappler in the women's division.
Yeah, she grew up wrestling the boys. Yeah, she's got the best wrestling.
Yeah, and you just didn't see any of that. And her striking looked very slow, very loose. I just didn't like what I was seeing. And you hear about her relationship problems and things like that, and things going on in her personal life. The way she lost the belt at 200. Do you think we'll see her back? Like, do you think she'll change her mind?
I think it's a big possibility, but who knows? Maybe because, like she said, she wasn't even really thinking about it till she lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when you're just so deep down, fucked up like that, you say things you regret all the time. And coming out and retiring, I think she should have gave it at least until the conference. I mean, I don't want to see her retire because I feel like she has so much to offer the sport. But at the same time, she has already done so much for the sport. She's been fighting for fucking forever. But when it was still illegal for dudes to be fighting, she was fighting.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a big loss to the sport, but
hopefully she changes her mind. I definitely think that there's some other fights that are there for her. But if like I always say, if you just lost interest in fighting, this isn't what you want to do anymore. Then you gotta get out, because then you're gonna get really hurt.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Hopefully it all works out for her. Stevens versus Edgar. Pretty good fight. Pretty entertaining. Jeremy had his moments. He rocked Frankie a couple of times.
Yeah. It's just not a Frankie fight unless he gets hurt.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, being out on his feet, and he was just wobbling. He circled the ring so many times, and you just and then he went for that beautiful takedown. He was waiting for the opportunity for Jeremy to overextend on his punch, and he just timed it perfectly. And then I think that really saved him. Just taking his experience in, and I had predicted that his experience would take him far. I did pick Stevens to win, but Frankie's wrestling is just very, very good. I mean, Jeremy was a bigger, stronger guy because after a couple of attempts, Frankie finally was able to keep him down, because he took him down a couple of times, but it took him a while to keep him there.
Yeah. This is another fight where I also feel like, even though Jeremy lost, I think his stock still rises because Frankie is not. You don't bat an eye to a guy that loses to Frankie. Frankie loses to one dude, and that's all the time. Or both times. I mean, that guy is top. He's world class. But he was very. It was a Frankie fight. It's your typical Frankie fight. Yeah. Not disappointed. I was surprised also with how Jeremy was. He was very patient in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
When did he rock him? Second. I think.
It was the second, yeah.
He was very patient in that first round, which is kind of we're not used to seeing from Jeremy. He kind of blows his load kind of early, but he's completely changed up his training though. So and we saw it. So I'd like to see him fight again pretty soon. I don't think he was really that hurt. So.
Yeah. I think we've still yet to see the best Jeremy, because I think he needs to find that happy middle ground. Because as I said before, 2 years ago, he was the guy who was in love with his power. So he would swing everything with everything he had at every punch. And sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. A lot of times he would find himself gassed out. And now he had Frankie hurt, but he allowed a lot of time for Frankie to recover, and then Frankie eventually got that really good takedown that helped him survive. And I think he needs to find that good middle ground, because when I was watching the fight, I was like, okay, he's rocked. Go back to who you were before and just start lighting him up. Because that would be the best thing that I thought to do in that kind of what Alvarez did against Dos Anjos. Before he hurt Dos Anjos, he was very calm, and then once he rocked him, he started lighting it up, throwing haymakers from every way, from the hip, went for a flying knee at one point. I was waiting to see that from Jeremy.
Yeah, and he has like this awesome tendency to just kind of swarm when he smells blood.
Yeah, but I didn't see that. You
Yeah.
know, like, and that was unfortunate. I think he could have put Edgar out.
Yeah.
You know, so I think he's still growing as a fighter, and once he finds that happy middle ground, he's going to be very, very dangerous.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that guy like in his prime.
Yeah.
But like you said, I still don't think we've seen him in his prime. So I'm really looking forward to see the dude's career.
And then last one that we talked about last time was Khabib versus Johnson. Did it surprise you?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
But it actually kind of went the exact way I thought. I think Khabib he got lit up. He got
Wobbled.
He got wobbled. And then he went right back to the wrestling, and he pretty much just controlled it. But that's exactly what I thought, because Khabib does have like weird boxing tendencies, because he does just kind of use it for the most part to set up his grappling. But he said he wanted to strike with him. That's what he said, I think, today or last night.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as soon as he got hit, his coaches and shit were telling him,
"Fuck that."
He's got too much power.
Yeah. Because
why risk it?
Yeah, Johnson, he was fighting it very awkwardly. Like technique was kind of not there. He kind of just went out the window. I don't know what happened there. He was throwing these wild, wide looping punches, and like it was just going for the knockout every single time. And you know, he did tag Khabib one time and got hurt. But then, like you said, after that, once Khabib took him down, and I thought it was very funny how, you know, Khabib grabbed his legs, and then I think Rogan was saying on the TV, like, but Michael Johnson has very good takedown defense, and both you and I looked at each other, we were like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. And then right as we said that, he takes him down.
Yeah.
You know, and after he took him down, it was just bully beat down. You know, it was so hard to watch because you see how he transitions from these, you know, Johnson had him in guard, and then Khabib just gets through his guard with no problem into full mount, into crucifix, into, you know, knee on belly. You see him transition into all these positions and just grounding and pounding him the whole time. You know, and I think Khabib during an interview after the fight was like, you know, I was talking to him as I was beating him up, going like, you know, I don't want to smash your face anymore.
He asked him he told him to quit.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, I'm gonna win, just quit. but he wasn't. It didn't sound like he was trying to be like alpha about it. He was just like, hey man, you know, it's
hey man,
live to fight another day. But right now, you know, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. And then he's a man on a mission too. He was screaming at Dana between rounds, "Give me my fucking title fight!" And Dana's like, "You're in a fight right now," and then he would just go out and beat Michael Johnson's ass some more.
Yeah. It's the equivalent. If you've never seen like a guy with just such crazy grappling, I get like if you're not someone who watches the sport and you watch that fight, to me that's like the equivalent of watching someone drown. Mm-hmm. Like when they're on the ground like that, and they're just trying to they're freaking out. They're trying to find any way they can, but you're playing checkers, they're playing chess. He's so far ahead of you on the ground. You know that he's okay right now. He's getting hit. He's getting switched from position to position, but you know it's just a matter of time till he either puts you out or submits you. You know, it's just there's no way to avoid it. It's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. I mean, this dude submits bears on his free time. He's up there in Russia wrestling bears, you know. But and that's how it feels. You know, when you're grappling with somebody like that who's just so much stronger and so much more technical than you, it does feel like drowning. Yeah. You know, like you're trying everything you can, and then, you know, you can't breathe, and then he almost got his shoulder ripped off finally in the third round, and it just forced him to tap.
Yeah, he was talking to him during the Kimura.
Yeah.
Did you hear that part?
Yeah.
About how so basically he was saying like he said that he did it very slowly. Mm-hmm. He was doing it very slowly because he knows what happens. So he was trying to give him every chance to tap until he just he had to do what he had to do.
And that's a scary thing in itself. Like, I know I'm gonna pop your shoulder out of its place right now, so I'm giving you one more chance. Yeah, and yeah, he's just a scary guy. Do you think he gets the title shot?
Fucking better. I mean, Jesus, dude, he's undefeated.
He's 24-0.
That was the first time he's ever been in any type of danger.
Yeah, when he got wobbled.
That was the first time. He's never gotten hurt in a fight. I mean, he gets hurt in training. That's different.
Yeah, and you hear this from Daniel. He trains at American Kickboxing Academy, which is where Daniel Cormier, Cain Velasquez, and Luke Rockhold also fight out of. They train over there. And Daniel Cormier says he holds me down. Daniel Cormier is the light heavyweight champion. He's well over 200 pounds. 200. I think he walks around at 220, 230.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
He used to fight heavyweight. He used to
fight heavyweight. Yeah. That should say it right there. And he used to ragdoll heavyweights around. Khabib fights at lightweight, 155 pounds. You're talking about an 80 to 100 pound disadvantage to him, and he's holding him down. And I've seen videos of him holding Luke Rockhold against the wall, damn near effortlessly. It's kind of playful, but he's like Rockhold's trying to get out, and he's not. He can't. Yeah. That should say everything in itself right there. He's just a very scary guy, and I do not like that matchup against Conor. Conor is very much the same in the striking realm, meaning he's just on a different level. Yeah. So again, that's just another thing that intrigues me about that fight. If Conor chooses to defend the lightweight belt. Yeah.
So are you saying you'd rather see Khabib versus Khabib instead of Tony Ferguson?
I would love to see Khabib versus Tony Ferguson.
But to fight Conor for the
belt. But so wait, you're saying would I rather have Khabib fight Conor for the belt or fight Tony Ferguson?
Yeah, who deserves it more?
I think Khabib does. Yeah. Because Khabib, Tony Ferguson coming off of a very good win against Rafael dos Anjos, the former champion. Very dominant. But Khabib is just dominant in a different way.
Yeah, and he finished him too. He finished him 3 rounds. And now, of course, there's a major difference between Michael Johnson and Rafael dos Anjos. Yeah. And I understand that. But the way he did it, man, he finished the fight. He's undefeated. He's unfucking 24 fights in a row. Yeah. I mean, how many guys do you see in MMA who have had that many fights who are undefeated? None. There's just so many ways to lose in MMA. We don't see it like in boxing. Guys go forever without losing. But in MMA, there's so many ways. You could get knocked out. You get submitted. I mean, there's too many ways to lose, and he's been finding a way to win.
Yeah. And I would be intrigued with either fight. If he fights Conor, Conor's on a different level in himself, on his own with striking. So that would be an intriguing matchup, a striker versus grappler kind of thing going on. And then I would be intrigued with seeing him against Tony Ferguson, and the fact that Tony Ferguson is very good off of his back. Michael Johnson clearly had no clue what to do when he was on his back. Tony Ferguson has an idea. He's with Eddie Bravo off of 10th Planet.
Yeah, the worlds apart. Their ground games they have to be worlds apart. I mean, Eddie Bravo is he's always bragging about Tony, and I don't think Eddie doesn't do that. Eddie doesn't do that for the most part. He doesn't brag about all of his fighters. But for him to brag so much about Tony and he's just beating on that door for him to get that title shot, I think he has a lot of faith in him. Why shouldn't he?
But overall, great UFC card with more, the future is still very bright in the distance, and it's a lot of intriguing matchups that could possibly be made, and more, on the horizon. You got 206 and 207 coming up, the return of Ronda.
205's losses became 206
gains too, as well. You get Cowboy and Tim Kennedy on there too. Well, all right. I think that'll do that for episode 2, huh?
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
This is a badass fight to break down.
All right. I guess that's it. All right. Thanks for listening, you guys. Subscribe to our page on Facebook. Send us some messages if there's anything you want us to discuss. Give us a like. Share it to your friends.
Send us nudes.
Okay. I guess you can do that too. Hey, no dicks though.
Only dicks.
All right. Catch you guys later.